So what brings you out here if you are a resident of Oregon to the Portland ICE facility?
I originally came down here to document it. It's been about 2 weeks I've been coming down here. Came here to document it. I was harassed and assaulted just for filming these people. Some of Tommy's friends were saying they got my back, so I came over to this side and I haven't left.
Well, I'm here supporting ICE, pro-ICE.
I'm just trying to debate people, so I'm trying to have some dialogue with people, see where they're at within like this ICE enforcement on the immigration and stuff like that. So just trying to get, neutral ground in terms of debating, maybe seeing if we agree on some stuff like that.
So I like having genuine conversations. I'm out here getting footage. I've been getting footage for the past 5 weeks showing what is actually going on out here. And it's, I came here with an open mind, and my whole view of this has completely changed within the first week of me being out here. And this is my 5th week now. So that's why I'm out here.
I had a second question then. So recently there's been the Greater Idaho movement that had gained steam after 13 counties had passed a resolution to actually join Greater Idaho, but this has been on the counties themselves, and it is yet to be actually tabled at all by Tina Kotek, but it has been by Brad Little from Idaho, from their governor. How do you feel as far as if there's any federal influence or so that could actually help make it gain steam in light of them wanting to get away from Portland influence?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How do you feel about Greater Idaho movement with regards to how it may succeed? And secondly, how do you feel the federal government can help by bringing it to light in regard after Portland and the governor of Oregon have all but not even discussed it?
That's interesting. I don't know enough about it. I think that if part of Oregon did secede and become Greater Idaho, that the actual Oregonian, like what's left of Oregon, would change the economy in Oregon significantly. I don't know enough about it. I think it would be interesting. I don't know how the feds would be able to help. How they would be able to help out.
That's a tough one because the governor here in Oregon is just garbage. There's really not any, there's just nothing real from her. She's so ingenuous about everything she does, and the policies are usually against the people, the taxpayers, and everyone. The citizens are suffering because of these politicians. So I think it's a great idea for the Idaho movement, for Oregon to secede, basically.
So I think that movement is just, it's pointless, out of a shape, like, come on. There's history in states that happen everywhere resembling that state. So to mess with a shape, like a state because of its shape, it's kind of pointless. It's kind of, don't mess with the history, don't mess with the state where that history comes from. It's, there's just a lot behind it that you just don't want to mess with. And it's going to piss a lot of people off living in that area, because then they're going to have to change license plates, change addresses. It's just a whole catastrophe. I can't say the word.
And then one question I also did, during the 2023 conference at the Rose Portland Theater, they actually had a representative from the Cascadian movement alongside Greater Idaho in one of the native tribes for land and resource.
To you, because Cascadia feels like, in a way, it's more on the level of an idea.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's a physical thing. I mean, you can't really touch Oregon or Washington or Idaho. I mean, those are political, abstract, let me say it this way, they're legal fiction. Whereas the bioregion is something you can touch. I think once you get into that consciousness that you are interconnected with everything around you, with the forest and stuff like that, those political borders dissolve. They really, literally dissolve. It's like, what's the point of having a political border? because the boss doesn't care.
Okay.
I mean, even though by nature we eat, but in this case, you are a cancer on the planet. You're sucking everything away. I'm not in favor of rearranging deck chairs.
So deck chairs back your way. I mean, I think we know your answer more clearly on this.
I think they could do some rearranging. I think borders are imaginary lines that are a tool to make people's lives better, and they should be serving people. We shouldn't be causing problems and causing political tension because of where an imaginary line was placed 164 years ago. We should use that as a tool to group similar peoples, get people matched to government and policy that they want, and that makes sense for their communities, and lower political tension. So realistically, I got involved with the Greater Idaho movement because as a lifelong Oregonian, I know the urban-rural divide. I know the political tension that comes from that, and it's a solution. Moving the border would be a solution that would do away with that.
Again, all of my representatives are Republicans. I constantly have to engage with conservative people who are racist, who say racist things, who say things that are white supremacist narratives, and I have to understand where they're coming from and why they are, have those things ingrained in them, and I have to speak to them in a way that shows them I'm intelligent and I deserve to be there and these sort of things. But also, if I'm going to sit down at a table with you and I'm going to have to do all this stuff, we're going to lock arms and we're going to talk about that racism. Those of us that benefit the most from it, from this state, need to be the ones who really understand it. So, I think there's importance in the tension, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not letting anyone else go anywhere, because it's important for us to have these conversations if we want to move long term. So, the tension is good.
Not might be, there will be consequences to you. And goddamn, with those consequences be deep. They'll be bad. You might not see the outside of a prison cell for the rest of your life.
What was your take to that sort of derision if you knew also that the Cascadian flag has been used for ice torching as well as the disruptions here openly, with them brandishing the flag and using the emblem very prolifically?
That's interesting. I haven't heard that before. They're co-opting the movement, I guess. It's definitely seems like something that's getting out of control. I'm not aware of that, but I'll definitely look into that. I can't really speak much on that.
I don't know enough about it to really speak on it. I'm not a fan of violence in any way, I would just have to learn more about it to know. I think I just know enough to be able to say that I think the idea of part of Oregon receding and going to Greater Idaho would be an interesting concept. And
I did have a follow-up question. So recently, they've actually all but made it mainstream for the anti-ICE protesters to brandish a Cascadia flag. In fact, in 2023, there was a conference where the Greater Idaho Movement spokesperson and one for Cascadia from Portland, along with one from the tribes, came together, but they resented the idea being that borders actually have meaning, but they define Cascadia as an actual people definable, whereas they deride the Greater Idaho Movement. How do you feel then, in light of that the Cascadia flag has been used, especially in ICE and ICE facility torches with Molotovs, yet Greater Idaho Movement hasn't been able to gain steam despite backers from Oregon for it?
That's standard MO for Democrats. That's not cool. Democrats like to break the rules all the time, and Republicans are trying to do things the right way. There's a lot of unfairness going on.
Based on that, it looks like corruption. It looks like something that is unjust. If I'm hearing it correctly, and I think every state has its own borders for a reason, and I think others shouldn't interfere in the process based off a prejudice or a bias. So I don't know. Like, there's a specific angle that I would take on it. I think just like a common ground thing would be like no unjust.
No unjust.
We shouldn't have like any unjust like treatment or
or misrepresentation?
Right, misrepresentation. Yeah, I'm just not too familiar with it specifically, so.
So I actually haven't looked up into that a whole lot, so I don't feel like that's something that I could actually answer, because I haven't looked into it. I haven't looked at the statistics or the facts, so yeah.
And then one other thing too is that recently Texas has actually upped their game, so to speak, and have redistricted, but where in contrast to Oregon's government, where the Republicans had withdrawn from the state governance from voting and held it up, but have been told that they cannot run again as punishment. The Illinois bound Texas Democrats had actually reneged on and did the very same thing, but have been given so little as a slap on the wrist. How do you believe that intones any hope of Greater Idaho movement, and do you believe that if that's contrasted, that Texas can show the federal government how to pressure effectively for it?
I think so. I mean, the Republicans aren't pussies. They need to stand up and fight for it a little harder, because we're doing the fight for them. We're out here. We've cleared the streets. We've got rid of these thugs, and all the Democrats are corrupt. It's just full corruption at its best.
Definitely cleared streets, all right.
Yeah.
Even if for only a brief moment.
Hopefully.
And that's one way they could help with even Greater Idaho movement.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. So if it's helpful, then sure, I would be curious. I would be curious to see what happens.
Okay.
Because the conservatives were let off the loose easier, or the other way around?
The other way around.
The other way. Yeah, like I said, I think if there's a process in terms of a legal system, there shouldn't be a double standard. So everyone should be treated normally. I do think there's a lot of, like I said, bias. So ideally, I would want the bias to kind of like science, like the scientific experiment. Like there's no morals, there's no how you feel about it. It's just this is the process, this is the experimentation. That's how I would want it to be.